I don't know about you, but I don't know many people who don't savor and love the flavor of fresh peaches. This little peach tree is called Diamond Princess. It's a new variety I'm trying, and it's a semi-dwarf. And one of the things you need to think about when you're choosing fruit trees, particularly peaches and apples and so forth, is what size will it become? You can get dwarf, semi-dwarf, or just big standard fruit trees. And I recommend for the homeowner that you go with a dwarf or a semi-dwarf. Now you may think that's going to cut into my fruit production. It really won't. These big fruit trees, a standard fruit tree, will get so large it's hard to even pick the fruit. What I love about a semi-dwarf is that it makes collecting the fruit, harvesting the fruit, so much easier. Now let me give you an idea about how fast these things grow. This particular tree was planted only about 7 months ago. It was in a 5-gallon container, and you can see the caliper of the trunk has gotten much larger. We've got greater height, but the stem size is much bigger. It even put on a little fruit this year, but I pulled all the fruit off because I wanted the energy of the plant to go into creating a stronger tree. I even put a stake in here and I tethered the tree so that it would grow straight, and I'm anticipating a nice big tree that's going to produce lots of fruit. Now my friend just north of here, Larry High, he has some great tips for anyone who wants to have a few fruit trees in their backyard.
Well, it's peach season again, and you can see I'm standing here by a tree that has a lot of fruit on it. And we're about in the middle of the season, and we're getting ready to get into the July peaches, which will be in about a week, and they'll all be freestones. But this one is called a Contender, and we'll start picking it in about a week. But now if you're interested in doing peaches, there's some problems that you run into. And one of them is brown rot, and the other is insects. And this is part of the problem on brown rot. It affects the peach, and then it will eventually consume it. When you start off with a fresh peach tree, there's limbs that are called scaffold limbs, and they come out from the center of your main branch. So you want about 4 of the strongest scaffold limbs. You want an inverted umbrella for all your peaches when they start fruiting to get the sunlight. So we prune them, and we cut off a lot of the limbs so that that scaffold limb will hold the peach. If you've got more peaches than the limb will hold, it'll break them down. When you have fruit on the peaches, you've got to thin the peaches. You need one about every width of your hand, about like this. And that way the weight of the peach will not break down your tree. So if you're interested in growing a few peaches, well, 1 tree to 5 or 10 or whatever, a couple of things you need to remember is spray at bloom and spray often every 2 weeks. You got to remember to shape your trees, thin your peaches, and thin them about width of your hand so they won't break down your tree. If you'll do these things, well, you'll have some peaches.